Hello, everyone. Welcome to In the Neighborhood with your hosts, Tim Johnson and Stacy Borho. Together, they are finding out what makes the heart of the Heartland beat. They sit down with people in your community that lead organizations, businesses, and government. You'll learn who they are and what they're involved in and why. They are the people in your neighborhood. It's In the Neighborhood with Stacy Borho and Tim Johnson.
Hi, everybody. This is Tim Johnson, and today we are in the studio.
In the neighborhood?
In the neighborhood. We're on...
Sometimes he forgets where he is.
There's just so many things that we're on. We're on In the Neighborhood on Peoria Life. We're on Facebook, YouTube,
wherever we get
Peoria TV, any website that we're shared on, and we're on WPEO, and we're a few places that
we're all over the world.
Yeah,
just sitting here.
Yeah, awesome. Welcome. Today we have Jessica Kober. Did I pronounce that?
Got it. Yep.
All right. Safe Families, and tell us what Safe Families is.
Yeah. So Safe Families is a volunteer movement, so there's chapters all over the U.S., some even international, and it's fueled by compassion to help keep families intact and children safe. So April is actually Child Abuse Prevention Month, and so two of the pillars for Safe Families is child abuse prevention and child welfare deflection. So fitting that I'm here in April when it's Child Abuse Prevention Month.
How long have you been with Safe Families?
So I've been volunteering with Safe Families for about 4.5 years, but recently came on staff at the beginning of this year. So being able to see it from both sides of the fence.
Sure. So how does someone come to Safe Families for services?
Right. So Safe Families is really about providing like that wraparound support for families that don't necessarily have that already in place. So parents can self-refer. They can go onto our website. There's a little Get Help tab, and they can click on that and fill out a form. Or different agencies, police stations, schools, hospitals can also come as a referral as well. So Safe Families doesn't necessarily have a definition of what crisis is. So crisis can be different things to different people, right? Sure. We all have different levels of stress tolerance and situations in our lives. So if a family or a parent, feels like they're in crisis, that's when they can reach out. So some examples could be, domestic violence, could be unemployment, could be homelessness, like substance abuse, parents that are going through rehab that want like a safe place for their children to be, during that time while they kind of get back on their feet and get back to a steady place. So really Safe Families then steps in and is kind of that bridge. So you have the family in crisis, and it connects that family to a host family, what Safe Families calls a host family, that will help care for that parent's child and or children while they get back on their feet.
So that could be for any number of hours, days, weeks.
Right, so it could be just a couple nights, it could be a couple months. Typical average hosting is about 6 weeks, give or take. So yeah, as I said, it could be less, it could be more. But the main premise is that it's temporary, right? So we want to keep families intact. So the goal is always to have kids reunited with their parents.
So is it in conjunction with foster families or?
So there are some parallels between, especially some of the training and the process, the approval process that host families have to go through in order to be able to host children. There are parallels with foster care, but with Safe Families, the beautiful thing is that parents have never lost custody of their kids. So it's completely voluntary. It's voluntary for the parent that would choose to place their kids with a host family, and it's voluntary for the host family as well when they take children into their home. So the goal is always to reunite the family, to strengthen the family, provide that wraparound support for them.
Interesting. So what is your website if somebody wanted to go and learn more?
Yep, so it's safe-families.org. is the website. And you can look on there, and as I said earlier, parents can fill out the Get Help. And then if there's families as well that want to host or get involved with Safe Families, they can go on there and fill out information as well. So since there's chapters all over the country, it would get, funneled to the appropriate region and then move forward from there.
Wow. So you probably need a lot of volunteers then.
Yeah, it's strong volunteer base. That is the premise of Safe Families, is the volunteer movement. So there's the host family component, which works directly with the family hosting the kids, but there's other various roles within Safe Families as well, because not everyone is going to be at a point in life where they either maybe they don't like kids, they don't want kids in their home, maybe they're past that point, don't feel comfortable with that. So the Safe Families model really encompasses that you don't have to do everything, right? But we can all do something to help strengthen families that are in crisis. So Safe Families has a role, it's called Family Friend. So if you think of, right, what a friend is, that's really what Safe Families encourages to help both the placing parent, but then also the host family as well. So it could be babysitting needs, it could be, transportation, helping with different activities or school, what have you. So it's just, being present and being available, being a friend to someone, whether it's the parent that's placing or if it's the host family as well.
So kind of like a mentor then too, if they're having some hard times, maybe they need someone to walk alongside of them.
Yes, and that's really what Safe Families is, right? There's many people in this community and communities across the country that are socially isolated. So, right, research statistics will show when that happens, increase the risk for abuse and neglect, child abuse and neglect. So it's really trying to deflect them from that, being crisis mode where something could negatively happen, and like more of the prevention arm, being proactive instead of reactive with that. And when a hosting occurs as well, you, with Safe Families, have a role that's called the family coach. So the family coach is really kind of like the liaison between the host family and the placing parent. So they also, it's another layer of encouragement, of protection, whatever the goal is coming into a hosting, just encouraging, empowering that parent, to reach that they can do this, right? They have support, and the team approach.
It's amazing. I mean, we reuse that word awful lot here in this program, but it's, to me, I grew up in my family hosted foster kids.
Okay.
And so to be able to get kids and families before they get to that disaster, traumatic, you're saving people before they even get to that level. That's pretty cool.
So how do you get to them?
Well, it's spreading the word so that families know about it, right? So as I said, parents can self-refer, right? They can call. And sometimes, too, it's not even a matter of, needing hosting, but just connecting them to other resources in the community. If someone has recently moved here, every day could be like a crisis mode because they're like, where am I? What am I doing? What's available? So it can just be a matter of connecting them to resources, but then also networking with other agencies, in the community, as I said, like hospital referrals, like if parents are, in the hospital having a baby and they have other kiddos that they don't necessarily have someone safe and or healthy that can care for them while, mom's having a baby. What do you do?
You're not going to have them in the birthing room,
so,
I'm sure.
That's a prime example of where Safe Families could come in and just that temporary support, care for those kids, let mom, have baby, transition, and then reunite afterwards. It's like one example. But yeah, the schools, domestic violence shelter, substance abuse. As I said, crisis can be a lot of things to different people. And sometimes when people are in crisis mode, it's like hard to even see the forest through the trees. And it's just kind of pretty much like survival mode. So it's sometimes just giving them space to be able to take a step back, kind of reassess, okay, this is where I'm at, this is kind of where I want to be. And so working with the family coach, sometimes family friends too can come alongside and just helping them like think through even like practical like next steps to get from A to B.
When we moved from Rockford here, and we have 2 little boys, and my wife is an accountant, so sometimes I get to be a single parent while she's doing her tax things.
Yes.
I kind of get a glimpse on what it's like to be a single parent without family in the area, and usually we have somebody to say, Mom, can you come help me? I need some help. And it's hard to ask somebody that you don't know, right? So that's another great thing that people can connect with somebody. I guess it's a family friend that they can call and say, I need some help.
And really it's great too once that connection has been made, right? Whether it's through the family friend or the host family, then if crisis were to happen in the future or whatever would come up, right? Then they have like a, Aunt Stacy or Uncle Tim in their lives, right? That they can then call because that connection has been made. So it's familiar for the kids, it's familiar for the parent, and it's just like another extended family member, that we all need in our lives. Like we need community. It takes a village, right? When we're raising kiddos.
Absolutely.
So that then naturally would be in place because that relationship has been built, and really the relationship's at its
So you
core.
started out as a volunteer.
Yes.
Why'd you get involved?
Why did I get involved? Great question. I think just having different life experiences and being blessed by my own family, right? I think the older I get, the more that I am just seeing how the start with them and having that family basis really has just encouraged me to reach out to others that don't have family, and knowing just the comfort that brings, like security, and for kids that don't have that in place, how that can really long-term impact them, sometimes in negative ways. So just that is the motivation to be able to help connect, those families and those kiddos to people that will be safe and healthy in their lives, that will help encourage them in their life's journey.
That's hard. I mean, I can't even imagine, but yeah, that's awesome what you guys are doing. And so do you guys have a location here that people can come into if they...
So it really would be, are you saying like for the placing parent or
Either
for
way,
people that want to get involved?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I float wherever
Okay.
the need is on a daily basis. So if people want to get in touch, the easiest way would be either you could email me, call me, go to the website, and reach out to me that way.
And then you guys just go out into the
Yes.
different homes and...
Yes, wherever the potential hosting would start, or if the placing parent is, trying to meet them, face to face and build the relationship.
So like foster parents have to go through like the Pride class. Is that something that similarly your hosting families would have to go through also?
Yeah,
like a foster
so-
parent?
Yeah, host families would need to fill out an application, and they have background and fingerprint check, and references that have to be completed, a home study, and home screening, which is similar to foster care, and then there's training as well. It's not as long as foster care training, but there are definitely parallels in the programming and curriculum that's used for the training.
Okay. So does that cost a family if they wanted to become a host? Does it cost them any money to do that?
Everything is free.
Awesome.
The cost would be the time, right? The time, the energy.
Which is a lot, but...
Opening up your heart, your home, right? But as far as like monetary cost, no.
How do you raise those funds to cover those costs?
Yes, so it's a lot of grant work and a lot of donations as well from people giving that have either been involved, heard of it, somehow connected to the mission of Safe Families.
So what's your biggest need right now?
Biggest need right now, great question. I think just continuing to build awareness that Safe Families exists. So as a chapter here, It's like 2.5, 3-ish years old, so it's still pretty new. So it's still a lot of getting the word out to agencies and to people that it exists as a resource for families. And then there's always a need for host families and volunteers, right? It's volunteer driven, so to make sure that there's enough families to support the need. It's always that delicate balance.
Have you had a shortage at all yet?
We haven't yet.
Well, that's good.
Hopefully it stays that way. Yes.
Good.
So hopefully you grow on both ends.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be the
Right.
goal. Yep.
Right. But boy, I think the difference between foster care and what you guys are doing is it's a little less traumatic on the child because it's kind of a volunteer thing and it's helping the children that way. Wow. That's an amazing difference and amazing that you saw a need, whoever started this saw a
Yes.
need and picked it up.
Yes. And it really started off, in Chicago. So Safe Families will celebrate 15 years this year. And it started in Chicago. Just someone saw the need, like some kids that just needed a home, like a safe, right? Safe place to be, hence Safe Families. And it's not necessarily that parents, like the parents needed removal of their kids. There weren't really any issues, just under-supported. And so really it's just providing the hand up in those kinds of situations. And that's kind of what the impetus to start Safe Families. And it's just continued to morph over the years.
That is awesome. So what about, so if you saw a family and you knew of a family in need, can you go online and like recommend it then, or would you have to go to the family and say, here's a resource for you?
No,
I guess
mean,
I'm
you
just thinking of
could-
other ways that people can get help and
Like a grandparent or friend.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, they could still go online. Someone could always, that would be, I guess, the most direct way. Because if someone doesn't have, my number, my email, it makes it a little bit trickier to do that. But they still could go online, and it could be, a simple follow-up call, and just, check base. How are things going, kind of thing like that.
I think of like churches though too, right? Because then they're the ones who see families and
Yes.
might know of someone who needs that help before it goes to the wrong,
Yes.
before it goes the wrong way. So
Yep, and we try to work directly with churches as well, because that is where community really is easily established and built right there. So it's a matter of encouraging those people then to reach out into the community to bring them into their community that may not have it.
churches, schools, and
Right.
Yep.
that's my brain's going.
I follow you. Wow.
Let's share the website again.
Yep. It's safe-families.org.
And do they call you if they're interested in volunteering, or is there?
Yes, they can. Yep, they can call me. They can send me an email.
What's your email?
So my email is jkober, so jkober @safefamilies.net.
All right. Safe-families?
The email is just Safe Families.
Okay, I want to make sure
Yes.
we're doing it right.
No dashes in
Awesome.
the email.
But the website has the dash.
Yes.
Yes. Awesome.
Yes.
Wow, we love to see people that are getting involved and stepping up when they see a need. And you did that, and now you're part of the organization. That's pretty cool.
It's very awesome.
Awesome. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube. And yes, please follow us on YouTube. We're trying to gain some access in the YouTube area. But look for us on channel 17 on I3 broadband cable. So check for us there. And WPEO, thank you so much for helping us along here. This is In the Neighborhood, and we've been talking with Jessica Kober of Safe Families. Thanks. Have fun, everybody, and volunteer.
PeoriaLife.com